Okay, we can win the game this turn. Oh, I was thinking about how not to die, but now I'm thinking about how to win. And this is the beauty of this deck. Hey folks, welcome back to my channel. This is MahfuzVanGogh, your dredge guy, recovering from a bad state of health. I thought that maybe I would lose my voice forever because it was really bad. But now I'm getting better. I'm just coughing sometimes. So I hope this video will be a good video. This will be my last time playing Turbo Dredge before the new edition of Magic the Gathering. Let's try to do a good result here. I'm eager to do a 5-0 with this list again, because I didn't play that many leagues in the last month. I played more challenges than leagues, I believe. But I believe this is a really strong. This is the same 75 cards that I'm building, probably the greatest sideboard guide for Dredge in Legacy. It is already available on my Patron. I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, let's just talk a little bit about some options here, some preferences of my deck building. We have 3 volcanic islands and only 1 basic mountain. We don't need more than 1 basic island or mountain in this build, just 1 basic. And since we have more red enablers than blue enablers, 1 basic mountain will guarantee that we will hit anger and give haste to all of our creatures. And this is essential to win games of Magic in this metagame. The metagame is so fast that giving haste to your creatures is super good. Every time you hit anger, you just feel like you're doing something unfair, and your opponents will just lose in a moment, in a hot minute. And this is pretty much it. We have 3 Poxwalkers. This is already standard at this point. And only 3 bridges, because sometimes you don't need to hit 4 bridges to win the game. Only 3 are essentially what we need. And this way we can have 2 Ox of Agonas and a single copy of Dredge Return. Of course, at some point you can build Iori on Dredge if you want to, because we have so many good options to fill our deck. We could use Hogak, we could use Ischroer in the main deck, you could use 4 copies of Breakthrough and 4 copies of Otherworldly Gaze. This card is amazing. But we have to do some choices here, and after playing more than 100 matches with this same build, I believe this is the strongest option for this metagame. Echo in Truth is not my best choice to be in the sideboard, but until last week, Eldrazi decks were playing many Chalice of the Void, and the combination of Chalice of the Void and Leyline of the Void is something that we cannot beat. We cannot win against those 2 cards combined. And 1 copy of Echo in Truth is just a nod to those strategies. But I can see myself just taking this Echo in Truth from the sideboard to include another copy of Chain of Vapor, or one of the newest cards from the next edition, but I'll talk about it on my next video. 1 Ashen Rider, Ischroer. Ischroer would be really good if the metagame would have more surgical extraction in our opponent's sideboards. But lately, I'm not seeing that many surgicals. So Ischroer is almost unnecessary, unneeded. I'm almost taking this Ischroer out from the sideboard for good to include other threat, because I almost never including Ischroer in my post-board games. But I'm still keeping 1 copy of Ischroer here, just in case. I believe maybe in the future, if Grief will get the hammer, if Grief gets banned, maybe we will see more and more white removal, and maybe Ischroer will be good again. And 4 copies of the Line of Sanctity, 4 copies of the Line of the Void. This is pretty much standard for Turbo Dredge at this point. We don't need too much, we need to be fast. And when playing Turbo Dredge, you are playing the best deck. You must keep this in your mind, because sometimes we play Dredge, we are really humble players, so we are playing against a Delver or maybe some tier 1 strategy, and you see yourself, oh, okay, I don't have luck, I don't have the better cards in the metagame, I don't have the newest toys that other decks have. But this is not important for you. You just need to have this mindset. You are playing a great, fast, aggressive deck. And this is what we are playing today. Let's do it. Let's go to our gameplay. And I hope you enjoy this. Let's do it. Renting cards is the best way to play online, and you can start your journey, like me, on Mana Traders. just use this coupon code that you can see here on this page to have an exclusive discount on your first 2 months. Now let's go back to the games. We are on the draw against wingzerofnc. I will mulligan this because my opponent usually, okay, this is a keep. Usually my opponent will play show and tell strategies, probably sneak attack too, and we must go fast. And this hand is interesting. I'll probably go for a turn 1 Burning Inquiry here, and we have MahfuzVanGogh from the graveyard, even if we don't find our treasures on time. And Burning Inquiry also can, okay, second land is actually good, so we will not go all in here. We will have probably a turn 2. Burning Inquiry can mess with my opponent's combo hand. So let's just cast plain Burning Inquiry. Okay, it resolves. We didn't find our treasures, but we found Faithless Looting for next turn, which is good. And our opponent is in fact playing in Sneak Attack and City of Traitors, Ancient Tomb. So we took 2 soul lands from our opponent's hand. So maybe this will put a break on their next play. Okay, my opponent just finds a Surveil land. They don't want Misty Rainforest, okay. Now they play a Misty Rainforest and pass. Okay, no turn 2 play for our opponent. And we have a useless Narcomoeba here. Let's just cast Faithless Looting here. Okay, no dredgers yet, but now we can discard Anger and probably this Narcomoeba here. Let's not reveal Ox of Agonas, because if my opponent resolves the show and tell next turn, we can play Ox. And I'll play Arid Missa. Unfortunately, our Badlands is already milled, so we don't have black mana. So I'm thinking about casting this Breakthrough with X equals to 0, because if this resolves, I know that my opponent don't have any counter spells, and I can just crack LED to cast Ox of Agonas immediately. Okay, we found 2 Dredgers, and my opponent let me resolve that, so we are probably good to go here. And our Poxwalkers will come back. We even have a double Cabal Therapy to cast here. So let's exile 8 cards. Done. Poxwalkers will enter the battlefield. My opponent is thinking maybe they have a Force of Will with a blue card that they don't want to pitch for it. But now we have 2 Cabal Therapies here, and we will probably strip our opponent's hand. Even if my opponent counters my Ox, next turn we can just cast Ox again. Now we have 2 lands. Okay, it seems like my Ox is resolving here, yeah? So let's win the game. Dredge 5, Dredge 6, and Dredge 6 again. We have 1 Breach, another Poxwalkers, an Narcomoeba, that's great. No Dredge returns, so let's sacrifice Poxwalkers instead of Ox. Now both Poxwalkers will enter the battlefield. Okay, my opponent just concedes. Yeah, with 2 Cabal Therapy, my opponent's hand was probably not good enough. This was a fast game, let's go to the sideboard. Okay, 1 Ashen Rider. We can take 1 Ox, or maybe 1 Otherworldly Gaze, or maybe 1 Breakthrough. It usually doesn't make that much difference. We are favored against show and tell strategies. My opponent will probably have a mix of Grafdigger's Cage and Surgical Extraction, but they usually don't mulligan until they find one of their few answers to our deck, because they can do really fast combos. So this is a mulligan. This is not that great. On the draw I'll keep it, but this is not that great. I really like Burning Inquiry in this matchup, because usually your opponent needs a combination of 3 cards to have a turn 2 threat. Okay, my opponent has Grafdigger's Cage, so this will be hard, difficult, but we can win this. Let's play this Arid Missa, crack it. Okay, since we want lands here, let's start with this Faithless Looting, because we already have cards to discard. Okay, we have land for next turn. Let's discard both Dredgers. We had here on the channel in another video someone complaining against a Grafdigger's Cage, because sometimes it feels like a lost battle, right? But we can win against Grafdigger's Cage. It's just hard. For example, now we see that our opponent doesn't have anything else. So they kept a hand solely on Grafdigger's Cage. And now we can try to punish them. Let's see if we can do. Okay, we have a natural draw here. Scouting Tarn is good, because now we can guarantee our black mana to cast creatures. Let's take our Badlands. And I feel like I will not cast Burning Inquiry here, because I can help my opponent, because they don't have any other land yet. So let's just cast Otherworldly Gaze, trying to hit our... Oh, those are great hits. Maybe we don't need Cephalic Coliseum here, but I kind of want to have Ashen Rider in case my opponent finds a land for next turn. Cephalic Coliseum, yeah, into our graveyard, I think. Yeah, because we can after casting some flyers, some creatures, or even have poxwalkers, we can start cracking Cephalic Elysium just to hit bridges and other dredgers to be cast in the future. But I feel like we don't need this yet. I think we already have 3 creatures to cast: Nakomiba, Stinkwood Wimp, and Poxwalkers. So let's start with Poxwalkers because it has the higher power. It's a 3/1. And now we have Ashen Rider in our hand, if our opponent doesn't do anything fast here. Okay, let's see. Maybe they have some combination of Show and Tell and large creature, or maybe Omniscience. Okay, Show and Tell. Ashen Rider, I choose you. Okay, Omniscience, let's exile that. And my opponent now needs to combo at instant speed. Brainstorm is a great card to start, but they also need something extra here. If they don't have, we will just exile Omniscience and my opponent. Okay, it worked. And now we have 8 power on the battlefield. Let's take this Stinkwood Imp here. Nakomibas unfortunately will not enter the battlefield because of Grafdigger's Cage. But now my opponent needs to have something extra here. Let's attack dealing 8 damage. And in case if you're wondering something like, okay, what if your opponent has sneak attack now? Let's cast this Stinkwood Imp. A sneak attack and just puts an Emrakul on the battlefield. Well, Emrakul will attack, you sacrifice Ashen Rider, and you can just exile Emrakul with Ashen Rider's trigger. Okay, my opponent will tap Ancient Tomb. Okay, they have the One Ring. That's unfortunate because we cannot kill our opponent next turn, but this will help our opponent for a single turn. We will draw something here. I will not dredge, I think. No, let's dredge because we can hit... okay, Anger is not that bad. We could hit bridges there in case my opponent kills our creature somehow. Let's cast the other copy of Stinkwood Imp. And this can block Emrakul. If my opponent attacks with an Emrakul, we can sacrifice everything else. And we can have a Stinkwood Imp to block Emrakul, and then Ashen Rider can exile Grafdigger's Cage, for example. My opponent draws extra cards with the One Ring. Now they have 8 cards in their hand, but sometimes they will only have a combination of cantrips or Force of Will, Daze. This is why Ashen Rider is so good in this matchup. Show and Tell strategies are not that popular these days. It's similar to Dredge. Dredge is really strong, but we don't see that many players really trying to understand and play the deck properly, unfortunately. One of my aims here in this channel is to just help other players to learn how strong Dredge can be, even in a strong, heavily graveyard hate metagame. Okay, my opponent has something. They are on 3 life. They can tap Ancient Tomb once more. Okay, another Brainstorm. This is not that bad. And they already played the land, so they only... Okay, my opponent concedes. We won against Grafdigger's Cage. This is how you do it, guys. We won against Grafdigger's Cage. Grafdigger's Cage is not enough. Let's go to our next match. If you're enjoying my content and want to support me as a content creator, the best way of doing it is on Patreon. Being there, you can read my weekly articles and also my sideboard guides to play this and other Dredge decks in other formats. I want to say thank you to all my patrons that you can see here on this page. Now, back to the games. Okay, round 2. Unfortunately, no lands. This would be really good. Okay, this is good. This can be a turn 1. So I think I'll put Anger to the bottom because we can shuffle Anger back with our fetch land. Unfortunately, we are on the draw, but this can be a turn 1 win. We have double LED, we have Faithless Looting, and our best treasure. And Poxwalkers will enter the battlefield when we... Okay, Savannah is scary. Elvish Reclaimer, alright. So this is one of our worst matchups. This is Green-White Depths, or maybe Abzan Depths. A second Dredger is actually good, really good here. And this would be a nightmare for every Dredge deck, but no nightmare for us. I already have my basic mounting here, just to guarantee that my opponent will not wasteland me in the future. And now let's crack LED in response to our Faithless Looting. We will dredge 5. Okay, we already have a Dredge return there. If we hit an Ox, we will win immediately. One Nakomiba enters the battlefield. Now 2 Poxwalkers. Even if we hit just many creatures, we can, and Anger, we can put Golgari Troll into the game. So let's, with haste, dredge 6, dredge 6 again, and we found Ox, and life is beautiful. This is a turn 1. I will cast Cabal Therapy first before winning the game, because I want to see what else my opponent has in their hand. And if I just combo off here, I know that my opponent will concede. So short Plowshares. So let's see what else they have. Okay, Finn Artisan. Okay, this is maybe Maverick and not Adept, or maybe just a mix of both strategies. So let's cast Ox here, and then we can sacrifice Ox and return it with our Dredge return. And we'll definitely win the game right now. So Dredge 6 again, and another Dredge 6, great. We already have Poxwalkers. No Anger yet. So let's cast Cabal Therapy, sacrificing our Ox, because we can reanimate it. And now we have some zombies. Let's take Fiend Artisan. Okay, my opponent is not conceding, so let's find our Anger here. We have 11 cards, let's do the math. I can dredge... We cannot dredge exactly 11, right? But we still have Cabal Therapy, so even if we draw or Anger, I can just discard my own Anger. Okay, my opponent is conceding. Alright. Yeah, and against all of those creatures, even if we don't have Anger, I don't think my opponent can come back from this. So let's do our sideboard. Against Depth's strategies with white or Maverick strategies, we usually want Leyline of Sanctity because they can have, for sure they have a Bojuka Bog and many ways to find a Bojuka Bog. So let's take a little bit of everything, 1 Poxwalkers, 1 Ox, and maybe 2 Otherworldly Gazes because we want to be really fast with our breakthrough. And Leyline of Sanctity is also good if they have Endurance or other cards like Nihil Spellbomb. This is so tempting. This hand is really tempting here. We have our great enablers, great dredgers, even a Cabal Therapy and protection. If we just top deck a land, this is almost guaranteed a win. But we cannot keep this, right? Why is the church ringing bells at this time? Is there a marriage happening? A wedding? Okay, so let's mulligan this. This is bad. My opponent is also mulliganing to 5. Okay, this is really good. We need dredgers, but we have Leyline of Sanctity, and I think we'll keep this putting Cabal Therapy and Arcomoeba back. I would like to have Cabal Therapy, but and we'll start with Leyline. This is not a guaranteed win. We need to find dredgers, and my opponent can have something extra than Bojuka Bog. They can have Surgical. Sometimes those decks also play Surgical, or even Fairy Macabre, or you never know. Okay, Noble Hierarch. This is a good thing. No Elvish Reclaimer, and we found our Dredger. We need to go for it, right? We need to go for it. We could here just cast a Burning Inquiry, but against this slow start, let's hold priority here. We just need to go for it. And if our opponent has something like Surgical Extraction, they do have, but we need to go for it. My opponent is thinking here. Do they have something? Oh, they have Fairy. Okay, now we need to hit a Dredger. Oh, we did hit Dredgers. Unfortunately, no Faithless Looting. Okay, now we are probably just slow dredging. Luckily, our opponent is not playing that many threats. Oh, Urza Saga. Urza Saga is probably game over here. And Knight of the Reliquary, are you kidding me? This was a great mulligan to 5. I think I will just draw here, because the chances that we will already... I think I'll just have a natural draw here. We have something like 25% of chances to draw File Coliseum or Faithless Looting or Breakthrough or Burning Inquiry. Even a second land is not that bad, but I'm not sure if this will worth it, but I think our best chances here is to just Cabal Therapy. That's unfortunate. To have natural draws, because my opponent here with an Urza Saga, they will probably have Soul Guide Lantern in a couple of turns, and just Dredge 6 and then Dredge 5 will not win this game for sure. We still have one more shot here. Okay, my opponent is surveying with the Portico. First Plowshares to the bin. They have 1 card in their hand, and they will attack at Knight of the Reliquary. That means that my opponent doesn't want to wasteland us, and this is probably something that we can maybe win with haste creatures if we find an Anger now. Again, our best shot to win this game is not just slow dredging, because my opponent has an Urza Saga. So let's draw. Poxwalkers. Now we will just lose the game. Let's see what my opponent will do. They will probably create a construct with Urza Saga, yeah. They will activate Urza Saga again. Okay, just Shadow Spear because they see... Okay, Spellbomb. Okay, Spellbomb is interesting because Spellbomb targets. And Line of Sanctity will protect us from Spellbomb. So we have one last shot here, and I, again, will just draw. Oh, Golgari Grief Troll. Okay, let's concede. In case you were just wondering why just draw, it wasn't better to just dredge there. Guys, this is 2024, and against Urza Saga and an active Knight of the Reliquary, just slow dredging here, even with a Line of Sanctity, would not be good enough. So I don't regret my choice. Now we will be on the play, so it is good. I don't think I will do many changes there. Maybe one less breakthrough to include Otherworldly Gaze or both. Because Fairy Macabre is a great card against breakthrough. So it is better to have a flashback spell against Fairy than an all-in breakthrough. If my opponent had at that same spot, if my opponent had just Endurance or Elvish Reclaimer, we would have the win. We would win on turn 1, probably, because we had Breakthrough and Dredger. And LED, of course. Now we are on the play. Let's keep in... Oh, this is good. No Dredgers yet, but this is definitely a keep. Let's keep in mind that this is one of our worst matchups. My opponent kept 7 cards. This is really scary. So let's start playing LED, and maybe we can mess with my opponent's hand with this Burning Inquiry. Okay, they discarded a Spellbomb and an Artisan and a Savannah. And we discarded our Poxwalkers. For next turn we have Dredger and Ox. We cannot... okay, we need to draw something here. My opponent kept 7 cards, probably because they had a Spellbomb, but they can also have something else, something extra. My opponent is thinking here, maybe they needed that Savannah? Okay, they play Wasteland. Okay, this Wasteland here is secretly good for us, because now we can just cast Ox. Oh, another LED is really good. Because now we will have enough cards to cast Ox. So yeah, we let's do the math here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, let's go for it. Let's go for it. So let's discard our hand, making a red mana. And do I do red mana here too? I think I do, because we have Ox. And if we have a single Cabal Therapy there, or any Faithless Looting. Okay, let's concentrate here. Unfortunately, we need to take Poxwalkers. We need to exile Poxwalkers. But now we have exactly a Golgari Thug. And let's dredge, and draw. Okay. And we have Faithless Looting there. That's good. This Nakomiba enters the battlefield. Now we have some options here. I can cast Faithless Looting, but I think it's better to cast a Cabal Therapy here. We even have a Breach from Below. Let's sacrifice Narcomoeba, naming Stinkweed Imp. And now we'll cast Faithless Looting. We'll dredge 5 and 6. Okay, double Cabal Therapy, another Poxwalkers, and an Narcomoeba. Those are great hits. And now let's sacrifice our Narcomoeba. Let's keep a 5/3 for next turn. And I think the name is Swords to Plowshares again, because Swords to Plowshares. Because we are hitting... Okay, my opponent had 1 Swords. Green Sun Zenith is our next choice. Artisan and Renegade Rallier. Okay, so let's take our opponent's Green Sun Zenith. Okay, Green Sun Zenith. Let's not anticipate things here, because our opponent can top deck something and win the game. But yeah, we will have lethal in 2 turns here, without lands. This is the magic of an LED build. So let's clean here. My opponent has this. Okay, they play Verdant Catacombs and pass. Okay, they can go for a Dried Arbor just to block, but I don't think my opponent will do that. They fetch for a Savannah. Oh, do they have a Swords? Alright. This was a great top deck for my opponent, but we will still win in 3 turns here. This is the first. And now we pass a turn. Our opponent will probably play this Artisan, unless they have something better. Catacombs. Oh, they have something better. Reclaimer, and it is already a 3/4, so it can block a zombie. Let's dredge 6. Oh, and now we have Dredge Return. Unfortunately, our Ox is exiled. I think we attack first, right? If I cast Dredge Return here, we will have a large Grave Troll for next turn. In case my opponent blocks Poxwalkers, Poxwalkers will come back when I cast a Dredge Return. So let's attack. Let's see how my opponent blocks here. Oh, they will go for Dried Arbor. Yeah. So Arbor can block Poxwalkers. Yeah. Poxwalkers will die. Arbor will die. Our opponent is down to 5 life. Let's order those triggers properly so we have another zombie. And now it makes sense to cast Dredge Return. Let's think here. We have... If I cast Dredge Return sacrificing 1 Arco and 2 zombies, I will exchange 1 Arco and 2 zombies for a large Grave Troll and 1 Poxwalkers. If I don't do that and my opponent has 2 blockers, Artisan and Elvish Reclaimer. I will just connect with 2 creatures. I will lose 2 zombies. My opponent will go down to 2 life, but then I don't have good attackers anymore. So yeah, having Death Touchers like Poxwalkers and a large creature, it will be probably better for next turn, because my opponent will be forced to block the troll. Yeah, so let's return our Golgari Glyph Troll, sacrificing zombie, and Narco. So we have maximum damage next turn. My opponent will be forced to block with Golgari Glyph Troll. If they found another Source to Plowshares, I hope they don't, they will be forced to block one of our creatures, and we have a Death Touch creature. Okay, they play Bio and Artisan. That's great. I imagine that my opponent will block, let's see, let's dredge 5 here. Okay, and we even have Cabal Therapy and Breach. So let's push some damage first. Yeah, let's attack first. I think I will not attack with my zombie token, because my opponent will probably just block with Reclaimer and taking 2. Let's see which creature my opponent values the most. I think they will value Elvish Reclaimer. Yeah, I was right. Because Elvish Reclaimer doesn't need to sacrifice a creature to be activated, right? And it is a 3/4. So now let's cast Cabal Therapy targeting my opponent, sacrificing Poxwalkers, and Poxwalkers enters the battlefield again. And now we will take the Relier from my opponent's hand. Renegade Relier. Okay, my opponent has an useless Wasteland. Guys, I think this is it. Even if my opponent finds something, they need 2 somethings, right? They need a removal spell and a blocker here, because we have 3 creatures. Unless my opponent can block 2 extra creatures with something like Orcish Bowmasters. I'm not sure if they do play Bowmasters here. Okay, my opponent conceded the match, and we won. This is a great win for Turbo Dredge, because this is one of our worst matchups. And let's do better on our next match. Round 3 starting. Oh, okay. We're against Spyman. He's my friend here from Brazil, and okay, he is probably playing lands. I know, because we have a group of friends that we always share our results in Magic Online to each other. Okay, so we are on the draw, and this is a keep, and this Scouting Tarn will probably be a basic mountain, because we're playing against lands. Hopefully we will find something else, like a second land or an LED. Okay, my opponent starts with Urza Saga. Oh, and only that. Okay, so we have 2 turns to win this game before my opponent finds Graveyard Hate. So we draw another Dredger, which is not perfect. Let's hope for a second land here. Faithless Looting. And, okay, nothing great. Let's discard our 2 Dredgers. We have a Burning Inquiry for next turn. So my friend here, Marcelo Medeiros, will probably see this match after we play here, because he is usually watching our videos here on the channel. So, oh, my opponent had a Bojuka Bog in his hand. So yeah, at least we can rebuild our graveyard here, and we have another land, so this is good. Let's fetch. So I'd like to send, okay, a Cephalic Elysium here. Let's discard our Dredgers. To send hello to my good friend Marcelo when you watch this video later. So let's dredge 5 and 6 and 4. And we are forcing our opponent to discard Elvish Reclaimer, Plains, and Maze of It. Okay, nothing too scary. Maybe my opponent didn't have 3 mana to cast a Reclaimer, maybe? Or maybe he just drew this with a Burning Inquiry. Let's attack with our Narcomoebas, because we have Cabal Therapy there, but no Bridges yet. And now I'll cast Cabal Therapy here, because 1 Poxwalker is better than 1 Narcomoeba. Let's exchange one for another. But I think I will name... Nothing that scary here. Crop Rotation is usually what we will name. Okay, just an Exploration and a Mox Diamond. And another Saga. Okay, this game is not that scary. Maybe my opponent doesn't have a Soul Guide Lantern. No, he has, of course. I was just trying to be positive here, to see a silver lining. But Lens is a hard matchup. Okay, so my opponent can crack Soul Guide Lantern at any point here. And he has another Saga. So we have some creatures in play, but this is not good enough. And now my opponent even has Rishadan Port. So situation not great. Let's see if we can pull from our deck now. Okay, my opponent is tapping my Volcanic Island. So let's cast one Otherworldly Gaze, why not? Maybe we'll have something good on top. Oh, we do have something good on top. Okay, so we don't need a Dredger. We can put this into our graveyard, but maybe we should keep at least one of those spells. Because when my opponent cracks Soul-Guide Lantern, we can rebuild our graveyard once more. I'm not sure if we'll keep both of them. Maybe... Okay, let's keep both on top. Looting and Breakthrough, so we can draw Breakthrough now. And my opponent doesn't have Wasteland, not yet at least. So let's draw Breakthrough. Let's play Cephalic Coliseum. So next turn, I can try to force my opponent to take an action. Okay, my opponent's Urza Saga will go up. They play Surveil Land. So he has an unknown card in his hand. And he plays Lava Spore Boots. So now it's getting scary. I'm joking with him here on the chat. I'm saying, my dear friend, play for real. This is already turn 4 and we are alive. Oh, he said, yeah, I'm playing for real. I'm playing for real. Okay, so now what? We can attack here. Maybe my opponent can block, and then I can cast Otherworldly Gaze from my graveyard to revive Poxwalkers. No, he will not block. So now I think okay, we can cast something from our graveyard, and I think I will cast Otherworldly Gaze first. Or maybe can go for Faithless Looting. My opponent is a great player, so I know he will probably be tempted to crack Soul-Guide Lantern, but he will probably do this at the best moment for him. So I need to push something here. I'm not sure if this Otherworldly Gaze will be good enough. Maybe if we find another Narcomoeba or a Cabal Therapy. Okay, we found a Narcomoeba, Ox, and Thug. Let's keep Ox on top, just to hide it for next turn, because maybe we can just cast an Ox, and my opponent doesn't have priority if we just resolve an Ox without other stuff to resolve first. Okay, my opponent will create a Construct, and another one. Oh, he opted to tap Rishadan Port here instead of other lands. So next turn we'll have all of our mana at our disposal. Okay, Vexing Bubble, that's fine. My opponent will equip the boots. Do I care? I think I will gain 7 life here, but I'm not sure if this is the best play, because my opponent is already low on life with 10 life. But I think it's better to just save some of our own resources here. At least my opponent's Urza Saga are over, and now we can dredge. I opted to dredge 5 instead of 6 here, because I don't want to reveal too much of my graveyard. And I think at this point, I think I will guarantee one extra threat. I mean, I can cast Ox of Agonas with its escape ability instead of holding more spells in my hand. Let's see if my opponent will do something here. And I will probably dredge a little bit, but draw extra cards here, because let's dredge 6. So we can hold an extra dredger. Okay, Poxwalkers for next turn. Let's draw some cards. Another land is not that bad, because now I can cast Otherworldly Gaze at any point to have my Poxwalkers back. And we have 2 bridges now. Let's attack with Poxwalkers and Narco. Next turn my opponent can attack me here. Let's hold Narco for defense, attacking only with Poxwalkers. My opponent is down to 7 life, and we will pass the turn. My opponent will crack Vexing Bubble. Okay, so Cabal Therapy is a consideration again. We still have 3 Cabal Therapies in our graveyard, in our deck, I mean. Now, I think my opponent... Oh, Maze of Ith is good here. I think I will block, maybe forcing my opponent to... Oh yeah, and those constructs are smaller now. So my Ox can even kill a construct. Let's block. Let's block only with Ox. My opponent has a Maze of Ith. Let's see if he wants to protect it. Yeah, my opponent wants to save his construct. I'm not sure if this is the best here. It probably is. I'm not a Lens player. I'm just supposing here. Okay, my opponent will tap my Cephalic Coliseum. That's fine. I don't want to activate it. We have only 12 cards in our deck. I think I would dredge just a little bit. Just dredge 4 here. Okay, we found a dredge returning Cabal Therapy. So now it will be easier to tempt my opponent into cracking that Soul-Guide Lantern. I'm not sure if I will attack first. We have Cabal Therapy there. I can... This is a weird situation. My opponent has an unknown card in his hand. So let's sacrifice Narcomoeba to these Poxwalkers here, because my opponent is already forced to do something. Okay, he decided to crack finally. Let's cast Otherworldly Gaze in response, so we can have Poxwalkers in the battlefield. Another Poxwalkers, unfortunately we cannot take it now, but Badlands allows us to cast creatures from our hand. Do we want this Cabal Therapy? This is the question. I think I will keep everything on top. Yeah, Badlands is our first card, so we can cast Sneak with Imp purely as a blocker. And now we have 2 Death Touch creatures in play. This is turning to be a good... I name Source of Plowshares, but I don't think my opponent has Source of Plowshares in his deck, at least not in game 1. So let's attack here. Okay, my opponent blocks. Down to 4 life. And suddenly we are winning. But my opponent has a Maze of Ith and a Thespian Stage. Thespian Stage could copy Maze of Ith, right? So my opponent... Oh, Life from the Loam. Oh no. And another Maze of Ith. Okay. And Urza Saga because my opponent has Exploration. Okay, so now my opponent will attack. And he can even use one of those mazes to... No? To untap the construct. Okay, maybe my opponent is just feeling safe because I have only 2 creatures here. Okay, he's tapping my Coliseum. Now we draw Badlands. Okay, I'll play it. Play Stink with Imp. Let's attack, why not? Let's see if my opponent remembers that he has double mazes. Okay, he remembered. And now we have 3 blockers, but my opponent can create a construct with haste because of Lava Spur Boots. Okay, this is a balanced matchup at this point, but my opponent has Life from the Loam, so life is bad. At any point, my opponent will have Wasteland, and he can just destroy his own Bojuka Bog and then have Bojuka Bog again. Of course, our deck is almost empty, so we will not dredge anymore. Now we draw our Poxwalkers, we already knew about it. But unfortunately, I cannot attack here. We still don't have an attack here. My opponent... I need to hope for a miracle here, because now with Life from the Loam, my opponent will have infinite Urza Saga. Maybe if with this Golgari Thug next turn. Let's see a little bit more of our opponent's deck. Urza Saga finds nothing. Okay. And now my opponent will create another construct. My opponent is thinking. Okay, decides to not attack. And we'll draw Workable Therapy. Yeah, guys, I think this is over because of my opponent's infinite construct. But this was pretty solid for game 1 against the lands on the draw without LED. Okay, I will just attack here. We don't have a choice. Maybe my opponent does some weird blocks. Oh, okay, my opponent is telling me that he needs to leave the game now to... Okay, my opponent is saying to me in the chat that he will concede because he needs to go to his work. Somebody on his work called him. I told him here now that I would win this game. Okay, let's attack here. I think he will not block. Okay. Okay, we won, but this is not a concluded matchup, right? But we won because our opponent conceded for other reasons. And we will take it, okay? We are 3-0. Let's go to our 4th match. All right, we are on the play. Yes, I would like to play first. This is one of those times that Burning Inquiry is not that good. This would be better as a careful study. So unfortunately, this is a mulligan. Okay, this is so much better. This is so much better. Let's keep it. We don't need this Cabal Therapy. And this is something about this Dredge deck, guys. You need to mulligan. Sometimes you need to be bold. Since we have 2... Let's start with looting 2 lands here. Let's start with a basic mountain. Okay, my opponent is playing Temple deck, Baleful Strix. This is probably those new blue-black Temple decks. Sometimes they are on a reanimation plan as well, but sometimes they are just blue-black Tamio. My opponent has Mishra's Bubble. Okay, they didn't like what they saw, so now they have Underground Sea. And sometimes this means that they also have Stifle, maybe? I hope they don't. Let's play Scalding Tarn here. Not sure if I will cast Burning Inquiry here. I think I will. Let's spin the wheel. It's important for us to have 2 lands. So even if we discard our Breakthrough by accident here, we can... Okay, we didn't. This was the best of our worlds. We still have Breakthrough, and now we have Cephalic Coliseum and even another land. This is amazing. So let's take... we even discarded our Grave Troll and forced my opponent to discard 2 drops. 2 mana drops. 2 mana cost cards. Psychic Frog and Orcish Bowmasters. Now... Okay, I don't think I will go for it now, because my opponent can have counter spells, and Cephalic Coliseum is so good in this matchup. I think I will hold it, and I think this is the best. Let's see, my opponent plays Brainstorm in the main step. And a Scouting turn, Brexit, and Ponder. Okay, I think our Burning Inquiry definitely did some work against our opponent's hand. Yeah, my opponent is shuffling their library. And they pass a turn, we will dredge 6. We don't want to know anything, right? Okay, but now what? We can crack Cephalic Coliseum here. I think this is a more solid plan instead of casting Breakthrough, because my opponent can have many counter spells here since they are not casting any threats. So we found 2 Narcomoebas, Poxwalkers, Bridges, Cabal Therapy. Yeah, this is done. My opponent conceded. Yeah, this is done. This is already too much. And guys, this is what I tell you frequently here on this channel. When you're playing a Dredge deck in Legacy, this is a proper mindset to have. You are playing the strongest deck, the most powerful deck. Of course, your opponent will have something against you, especially after sideboarding, but you are playing the most powerful thing that someone can play. Dredge is even more powerful than Reanimator, Rescaminator. You just need to understand this when playing Dredge, not play from behind. Play to win. Now we will keep this hand on the draw, because we can play Cephalic Coliseum and discard our whole hand. This is probably not a good keep. Maybe I'm being just too much, too overconfident here. I think this is probably not a good keep. But this can work. This can definitely work. My opponent plays a Scouting turn after a mulligan to 5. And a Mishra's Bubble. Okay, this time my opponent liked what they saw on top. We draw an useless Narcomoeba. Can we go for it now? I think maybe we can wait. Let's see. Let's see if this LED will resolve. Okay, my opponent is thinking here. Maybe this LED will not resolve. Okay, my opponent cracks a Scouting turn. Is this a Brainstorm? It is. Okay, my opponent has Force of Negation and Force of Will. Alright. So let's pass the turn. This would be a great moment to be scammed by our opponent. My opponent has Wasteland, okay. Like a Grief, Reanimate Grief. Now, okay, we draw another Dredger. Yeah, as I said before, maybe this was just too risky. But let's keep going. Let's keep going. I will not play a land now, because maybe we can just go Dredgeless style, discarding a Grave Troll to hand size. My opponent plays another land and has a Psychic Frog, okay? But with a single card in their hand. We draw another Dredger. 5 Dredgers in our top 10 cards. Let's discard our Grave Troll. My opponent will attack me and draw a card. Reggae. Yeah, Psychic Frog deals combat damage and draws a card. And that's it, okay? So we will Dredge. Double Narcomoeba are actually really good, but unfortunately no other Dredgers there. Oh, okay, my opponent has Surgical Extraction. It seems, the way my opponent played, it seems like my opponent didn't have this Surgical at the beginning of the game. I'm not sure. Maybe they did, because my opponent thought for a long time about countering my LED. So maybe this was the question. Do we care about LED? And my opponent decided that yes, LED could win the game even against one Surgical. And that's true. A single Surgical Extraction will not deal with the whole Dredge deck. Okay, so we don't have Narcomoebas anymore. And now I will start playing lands here, because we have Faithless Looting there. If we draw another land, we can start casting Looting. After this Surgical targeting Narcomoeba, I don't think that we will win just by low dredging Trolls and Imps. My opponent draws an extra card and passes, no lands. We draw, okay, Cabal Therapy is actually really good. So we can cast Cabal Therapy targeting ourselves. And we will still have mana to cast an Ox if we ever find Ox. Okay, my opponent will counter this Cabal Therapy, exiling a blue Elemental Blast. So yeah, since we have many red spells, my opponent decided to include blue Elemental Blast after sideboarding. That's wild. I'm not used to have opponents siding in blue Elemental Blast against me. Okay, my opponent has Murktide. This is scary, but it is still beatable. We have 2 turns to win this game. We will draw. Faithless Looting is great. Let's tap Badlands for it, because we can draw Blue Enablers or even Coliseum. Okay, it resolves. No other enabler, but another mountain is actually decent, because next turn we can, unless my opponent has Wasteland, we can start casting Faithless Looting with Flashback. And now we pass the turn. My opponent can deal something between 8 and 12 damage. It seems 8 it is. Yeah, it doesn't matter, right? My opponent doesn't need to discard cards yet. And okay, my opponent is casting Brainstorm, probably looking for a Wasteland here. If my opponent finds a wasteland, it is probably game over. We can even cast Sync Imp from our hand if my opponent has, I don't know, Surgical Extraction targeting Faithless Looting or some crazy play like that. My opponent finds another Brainstorm. So my opponent cracked a land and then casted another Brainstorm. And that means that they probably don't have much against us. They are digging deep, trying to hit something. Okay, Grave Troll, Dredge 6. Ox. Okay, now we need to decide here. Ox is great because it plays around days here. So I think Ox is the play. But there is an argument to just cast a blocker here. But I think the best shot here against Blue-Black at this point of the game, at this stage of the game, is to just cast Ox. Let's think here. I will exile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 looting. And I think I will still keep one other looting or not. No, because we have Cabal Therapy, right? So we can, yeah, we don't need Faithless Looting anymore. Let's see if this resolves. If this resolves, we still can win this game. Or at least a Dredge Return. So Dredge 6 again. Dredge Return is there. And now Dredge 5. Okay, we have one Poxwalker's Breach. Okay, we can win the game this turn. Oh, I was thinking about how not to die, but now I'm thinking about how to win. And this is the beauty of this deck. So, yeah. Now we have Poxwalker's back. And what to name with this Cabal Therapy? Probably Brainstorm, because my opponent can have another Brainstorm. But maybe Daze. Let's go with Daze. Oh, my opponent has both Brainstorm and Daze. And this is a blind Cabal Therapy. Okay, now I will cast again. My opponent has a Dismember. And they will probably cast Brainstorm in response here, just to not lose Brainstorm. Or maybe discard it with a Psychic Probe. Okay, they decided to cast Brainstorm. Now, what to name here? Dismember? Or I really want to resolve Dredge Return here to win the game this turn if possible. So I think I will name Force. And my opponent didn't have any. They kept Dismember and Wasteland in their hand. Double Wasteland. So now let's cast Dredge Return, getting Ox, sacrificing Poxwalkers and 2 zombies. We just need to find Anger here, because we already have double Cabal Therapy there. We will have more than lethal as soon as we find Anger. And if we cannot find Anger, we don't have Narcomoebas. Before I said something about Narcomoebas, but we don't have anymore. My opponent, of course, casts Surgical Extraction. Okay, we found Anger. We can still Dredge, why not? Let's see if what we will still want here. We already hit our 4 therapies or 3 bridges, 4 Narcos. We still have Poxwalkers in our deck. I don't think we need Poxwalkers to win this game anymore. We already have lethal, right? So let's just draw here. Okay, looting, why not? Let's win. Cabal Therapy targeting my opponent, sacrificing Poxwalkers. Zombie, zombie, zombie. Poxwalkers comes back. And my opponent knows what is happening, right? I think this is a concession. Yeah, it is. So we won against Blue-Black Temple. And now we go for a trophy. Let's go. Okay, I would like to play first. Oh, this is so tempting, but I think this is a mulligan. This is also a mulligan, especially on the play. Okay, this is our best hand so far. Let's skip. Now, this would be so great at 7, or even at 6, but this is 5. I know this seems crazy, but I think I will bottom the Dredger here and keep both lands and 3 enablers, because I can shuffle all of those cards with this Arid Misa, and then probably finding something with Otherworldly Gaze. I'm not sure what my opponent is playing. Okay, Volcanic Island, let's pass a turn in case my opponent is playing something like Control Deck with Force of Negation. And now I will cast Otherworldly Gaze on my opponent's upkeep. Okay, that is what I was talking about. We found both Dredgers and an Narcomoeba. Yes, I would like to have this Narcomoeba, please. And my opponent plays Ancient Tomb in Lotus Petal. This is a combo deck. Okay, my opponent decides to tap Ancient Tomb and crack Lotus Petal. No. Okay, my opponent is thinking deeply here about their play. Okay, again, tapping Ancient Tomb and cracking Lotus Petal. Oh, Kozilek's Command. This is Eldrazi. And now my opponent will have a colorless Eldrazi spawn creature. And I have a single Dredger. The other one was exiled. Okay, this can maybe put a break on our plays. Let's Dredge. Okay, and it is in fact a good play. Now we have some options here. We can crack Cephalic Coliseum. We can cast a Breakthrough with X equals to 1. We can trust in Burning Inquiry, and I think I will do it because I don't like to play against Eldrazi, and I want to mess with their hand. Okay, my opponent discarded Thought-Knot Seer and 2 lands, and we discarded a Stinkweed Imp. And now we even have an Otherworldly Gaze, so this is not bad. We lost our breakthrough, but we have another blue spell. I will not cast Otherworldly Gaze immediately. Let's attack first, because I know that my opponent can have Wasteland, and maybe they play something to have a Wasteland to target my Cephalic Coliseum, and then I will cast Otherworldly Gaze in response. Okay, just an Eye of Ugin. No colored mana for our opponent. If they have some red or green Eldrazi, it can be casted this turn, unless my opponent has another Lotus Petal. Okay, my opponent decides to tap Ancient Tomb and sacrifice their token. This is good for us. Oh, another Kozilek's Command. And this time my opponent is going for to exile Ox and Double Gaze, and not my Dredger. This is an interesting choice. I'm not saying this is bad, but probably exiling my Dredger there would be important. Okay, now we will cast our Otherworldly Gaze. We don't have any creatures in play. Let's find something. Another Cephalic Coliseum is probably good to have. There's an argument to just dredge. But if this Stinkweed Imp doesn't find anything else, it is good to have another Cephalic Coliseum. So let's draw Cephalic Coliseum here. Let's crack our first one. We'll dredge 5. Okay, we found a double Gogagriff Troll and double Poxwalkers. Triple Poxwalkers. But no Narcos, unfortunately. So we must wait until our next turn to get Poxwalkers from our graveyard. I will not play Cephalic Coliseum here because my opponent can have Wasteland. So let's hold this information with us. If my opponent doesn't have Wasteland here, we will probably win the game next turn. Cavern, okay. The chosen creature type is Eldrazi. Okay, my opponent has Glaring Flash Wrecker. Not that bad at this point of the game. It is a good card, of course. But what else? Must have been... probably there is... Oh, okay. This is the Micro Spawn, and now my opponent can probably go for a Wasteland to take my Volcanic Island to destroy it. Hopefully not. Okay, yeah, my opponent is smart. And now we don't have Volcanic Island. That's bad. That's really bad. Now we need some luck to win this game. We need to reveal Narcomoeba here. This is our first lucky play. Okay. Now I will... I'm sorry. Now I will cast Cabal Therapy, targeting my opponent. Let's see if my opponent will remember about sacrificing their own spawn token. Even if they do, it's not that bad because we have 3 Poxwalkers. Yeah, my opponent is a good player, and now I don't have bridges anymore. And this Cabal Therapy will name what? At this stage of the game, probably Devourer of Destiny. But it can be anything. Okay, another Micro Spawn and a Thought-Knot Seer. I don't care too much about Thought-Knot Seer, so I think I'll repeat here. And so let's take the second Micro Spawn. So, Micro Spawn. Okay. And now we need to find a Dredge Return. But we have 9 power in play. My opponent has 5. It will be more than that now because I thought not here. My opponent finds a Lotus Petal. And Glaring Flash Wrecker is super good, right? Because now my opponent will have many blockers. My Poxwalkers will not be so devastating as I would like them to be. At least my Poxwalkers have Death Touch. So they are great blockers if I need to hold them on blocking. Okay, my opponent will attack me with 1 creature. No, with both. Right call. Now we find Narcomoeba, Cabal Therapy. Since we have Narcomoeba here, my opponent... I think I will attack with 2 Poxwalkers instead of 1 or 3. Let's hold 1 Poxwalkers on defense. My opponent needs a great top deck to win this game. If it is a regular top deck, we still have chances to win in a couple of turns. Okay, my opponent will hold the ground with both pawns. And we'll just pass a turn with 2 blockers. Okay, my opponent don't have a play here. Okay, my opponent will attack with everyone. Now this is interesting. I'm on 8. I probably need to block 2 creatures here. How many Narcos we still have in our deck? We have only 1 Narco. 1, 2, 3. We have 1 bridge, 1 Narco. We already can return this Poxwalkers next turn with Cabal Therapy. I think we need to block Flash Wrecker because we are getting low on life and this card can win the game with a single Kozilek's Command. I know it's tempting to just block Thought-Knot Seer and Dredge here, but I think we need to get rid of Flash Wrecker. And I also put Narcomoeba in front of Thought-Knot Seer just to gain 4 life. And we will go down to 5. I think this is the best choice. Okay, Flash Wrecker is dead. My opponent plays another Eldrazi Temple. That's fine. Now we need to find our last breach. We found a Dredge Return and another Cabal Therapy. So this is super interesting because we can Dredge Return a large Gogagriff Troll just as a blocker. And we need to go for it, right? So let's attack here. My opponent will have great top decks because they have mana to cast, I believe, everything. But I think we'll need to go for it. Let's Cascabel Therapy targeting myself here, so I can have 3 Poxwalkers back. And then we will have Lethal for next turn. Unfortunately, our Anger could be Brave Troll. Our Anger in our bin will not have any effects because my opponent did Wasteland us. And now I will Dread Return to get this large Grave Troll back. And to win this game, my opponent maybe need a combination of cards like that Eldrazi that gives haste, Eldrazi Linebreaker, I think it is, or maybe the other Devourer of Destiny that can exile something. Any other top deck, we can win the game next turn, or maybe in a couple of turns if my opponent has blockers to survive 1 extra turn. My opponent draws. Okay, there is some action there. White? Oh no. Okay, my opponent will exile our Grave Troll. This was probably the best draw. This and Eldrazi Linebreaker would be great draws. And that's it. I will regenerate my Grave Troll because why not? Oh, it doesn't matter. It gets exiled anyways. Let's concede. Okay, my opponent leads the match. And now that I'm thinking here, I believe this opponent is also a friend from Brazil. If this opponent is the player that I think he is, I don't know this player in person, I think, but we are in a group of players here from Brazil. I think it is Ismael. Ismael, if that's you, please be kind. I hate playing against Eldrazi. So we need to put some bounce spells here, and we need to take a little bit of everything, like always. Against Eldrazi, I think I believe my opponent has something like Leyline of the Void. Some Eldrazi players don't have Leyline and will have Fairy Macabre instead. But I think it is correct to always have some bounce spells, because we can always bounce a creature if we have a bounce spells in our hand. So yeah, and Eldrazi, it doesn't seem to be the deck that my opponent is playing, but some Eldrazi decks also play with Chalice of the Void. Something to keep in mind. We are on the play. Oh, this is so tempting. I will keep this. This is not great, but I will keep this. Pen of Vapor can bounce a Leyline or a creature. And then on turns 2 or 3, we can win the game. But of course, my opponent can have so many cards, right? Maybe this is just too risky to keep on the play, but my opponent kept 7 without Leyline. So maybe they are not playing Leylines, or maybe their hand is also great even without Leyline. Maybe they have 3 Puzzlex command, for example. So we play LED and Cephalic Elysium and pass the turn. My opponent plays Ancient Tomb and Lotus Petal, the same play than before. Maybe they do have Kozilek's command here. Okay, Eldrazi Linebreaker. This is the card that I was afraid of on game 1. So let's bounce it, right? It targets itself, so it gives a Reality Smasher impression. But let's bounce it back to our opponent's hand. So my opponent just don't have... Maybe my opponent will not have a Cavern of Souls or other colored mana to replay it. And in the future we can just discard it from my opponent's hand. Maybe. Now we need a draw here. Another land is not that good. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We could go for it now, but I think I will wait 1 more turn. We could even cast Nakomiba here, but Nakomiba will probably be better as an extra card in my graveyard, so I can have Threshold. Yeah, let's play Volcanic Island. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, let's wait 1 more turn, and I will not play Nakomiba. Now it's my opponent's turn. Another Ancient Tomb. Okay, Thought Not Seer. So now I think I need to discard everything, right? We don't have Threshold yet, but we can crack Cephalic Elysium in our own turn. And our creatures will have haste because I played Volcanic Island. And if we ever kill this Thought Not Seer, we will dredge. Dredge 6 here. Okay, we have other dredgers. So this Cephalic Elysium, please be good. Please be good to the dredge player. We'll dredge 6 and dredge 4. We already have 2 Poxwalkers. Dredge 6 again. 1 bridge, okay. No Anger yet, no Ox, no Dread Return. But 2 Cabal Therapies. So let's start here. We know that our opponent has a Linebreaker, right? So this would be my first choice. And then we'll see what else my opponent has. Poxwalkers enters the battlefield. Eldrazi, Linebreaker. Oh, 2 of them. And now we can take one of the other Eldrazi's from my opponent's hand. Flash Wrecker, I believe Flash Wrecker is always the worst for us, right? Because my opponent can have an infinite Glaring Flash Dragon. Infinite blockers. Not infinite, but they can have many blockers and deal damage and exile our bridges. So yeah, let's leave our opponent with a Cavern of Souls and the Michael Spawn. We are ahead this game, but not by much. My opponent plays Cavern, naming Eldrazi, tapping a lot of mana to cast the Michael Spawn, but without kicker. Will this be a wasteland? I imagine it is. Yeah. And this is why it's so hard to win against Eldrazi, because they have many wastelands and a really good combination of cards. Modern Horizons 3 deeply increased the Eldrazi quality. Okay, we found another Cabal Therapy there. I'm not sure if I'll cast Cabal Therapy before attacking here. We are ahead this game, and we can attack with everyone except our zombies, because if my opponent block Poxwalkers, I will get Poxwalkers back with Cabal Therapy, and I will have zombies for my trouble, even if my bridges get exiled. And then we'll take some blockers from our way. My opponent will block with... oh, with both? Okay. This is actually good for us, because now Thought-Knot Seer dies, and we can even dredge here. Let's dredge 6. Yeah, and now we have Narcomoeba and another bridge. Our first bridge will get exiled, but we have another one. So let's cast Cabal Therapy targeting my opponent, sacrificing Narcomoeba, triggering both Poxwalkers. Hey, it's not easy to get back from this, and my opponent knows that, and consider the game. Oof. This is so tense. Okay, let's think about it. We never saw Leyline of the Void, but we never saw a thing, right? My opponent kept a so-so hand against us on game 2. So we could include something extra here instead of bounce spells if we truly believe that the opponent doesn't have Leyline. But this is not the case. My opponent can have Leyline. If I saw something like Fairy Macabre or an Artifact Graveyard Hate, I would be more confident about not including bounce spells. But since we didn't see anything extra against us, I will include bounce spells. Just Curious Dismissal is bad against Eldrazi, but all the other cards have text. So let's just submit back. Okay, this is not that good. My opponent is having a first mulligan. This is not bad, but this is so slow. Okay, this is even worse. My opponent went to 6. Our first hand was not bad against many decks, but I don't think it is good against Eldrazi, especially good against Eldrazi. It's just too slow, and my opponent has Wasteland. Let's mulligan. Oh, no, deck. Not like this deck. Go to 4. Okay, this is actually our best hand so far. But now what to keep? Probably Other Gazing Burning Inquiry. And we can shuffle Grave Troll back with the Scalding Tarn. And only line, my opponent kept 6. Ancient Tomb, Lotus Petal. This was the same opening on our first 3 games playing, right? My opponent started with Ancient Tomb, Lotus Petal. I will play Volcanic Island first and pass. Maybe I should go for Scalding Tarn immediately. Not sure. I don't want to shuffle all 3 cards immediately. We can hold a little bit. My opponent plays Yavimaya. And then Michael Spawn. Okay. So this is the Wasteland trail again. Yeah. And we will cast Other Gazing response. Let's find Dredgers and maybe another land. No. Cabal Therapy can go to the graveyard. I think I will just skip Cephalic Coliseum. In our next turn, we will definitely cast Burning Inquiry. This is such a slow start for our opponent. We started with Ancient Tomb, Lotus Petal, and nothing. So after a keep of 6 cards, I believe my opponent has something in their hand. So maybe this Burning Inquiry will carry some weight. Let's see. I will spin the wheel. Let's cast Burning Inquiry. My opponent is thinking here. Oh, double fairy! Okay, and we discarded a Dredger and a Bridge and a Coliseum, but we have another one. Okay. So, and we even have a Faithless Looting, so not bad. Not bad at all. Let's just hope for not Wasteland, not a new Wasteland for our opponent. And they even discarded another Michael Spawn, so maybe this is our lucky day and we will win against Eldrazi. Okay, my opponent taps for mana, red mana, so this probably Line Breaker. Yeah, it is. And now things will get scary because this represents 8 damage each turn, at least, maybe more in the future. We are going down to 11 life. And now let's dredge 4. Another Dredger, another Bridge. We need Narcomoebas. So now we know that my opponent wasn't on Leylines and Fairy Macabres instead. Let's crack Cephalic Coliseum here, hoping for a good sequence of Dredgers. Dredge 5. Oh, unfortunately, we didn't hit what we needed. Both Dredgers were on top places 6 and 7. And now we have only one turn to dodge and maybe win next turn. We need to dodge another large Eldrazi. If my opponent plays another 3/3, it is 6, 6, 9. Yeah, no other creature. Great. So we still have a chance. Guys, it was, if we lose this, it was because we couldn't chain dredgers with our last play. Maybe it was better. It would be better to just cast Faithless Looting and then hold Cephalic Wisdom for next turn. We'll dredge 6. We need to resolve this looting and find an Arcomoeba on the top 11 or 12 cards. Dredge 6 and dredge 6. Narcomoeba? No Narcomoeba. We lost, guys. Almost there. We had one Arcomoeba on the top 41 cards of our deck. Unfortunately, our deck didn't hit Narcomoeba when it should hit. It is a variance here, but I think we did a great job. Let's just put this result here. It is a 4-1. You know what? I will not go directly here to the wrap-up. I will play another league, and I will tell you the results here, and then I will tell you something extra. I'm recording again. This is our last round in another league, and I think my opponent just conceded. Grizzlepuff is Bob Huang, a great player. And we just won 2-0 against him with another 4-1 result. I was hoping for a 5-0 maybe. We lost to Delver here in an unfortunate sequence of events. We had a great hand, but my opponent also had a great hand on game 3. And we won against everything else, including a Painter and 2 Risk Combinator decks. I will play another league because I have time today, and I will come back in a minute. Guys, I just finished another league with another 4-1 result. Let me show you. This was a 2-0 matchup. Our only loss was against Eldrazi again. We won in 1 minute and then lost 2 games in a row. But we won against everything else. And this is 3 leagues in a row, finishing with a 4-1 result. So 12-3 after 15 matches in the same day. And we lost twice against Eldrazi and once against Delver, but we won several other matches against Temple decks, including Delver. And I think these 75 cards are really solid as a dredge plan. The Turbo plan with Anger won us many matches, and some of those matches we would lose if we waited a single extra turn. So Anger is great if you want to play fast, if you want to win faster games. I actually enjoyed everything. I'm not seeing many possibilities to use Echoing Truth anymore. At least in this league, we lost twice against Eldrazi. One of the Eldrazi decks were using Ley Lines, but we didn't see Chalice of the Void. And the other was on Fairy Macabre. So maybe we don't need Echoing Truth anymore, because Chalice of the Void is not so popular as it was 2 weeks ago. So maybe this can be just another Chain of Vapor. But besides that, I really enjoy playing this deck. But this metagame is incredibly good for Turbo Dredge. And I'm really happy with this build. If you didn't do this yet, click the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment below about what you saw in this league. And I hope you enjoyed this with me. See you soon. After the Bloomburrow edition, maybe we'll have some new aspects of our favorite deck here. See you.